Hello, welcome to Coffee Break Live. Hi, Jordan.
Hi. Let me know if I am centered correctly because
you're good.
I know. Okay, I'm good. Okay.
Tilt up a little bit, but you're good.
Let me see. The thing is I don't know, like when we do lives together. Sorry, the dog hears the garbage guys. So he's like defending his
territory.
So yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Welcome
Thank you.
everyone. Yeah. I'm Laura DiFrancesco, president of Dean Street Law and Flourish Westchester.
And I'm Jordan Chadsey. I'm the co-founder of Macro Kitchen, a meal planning platform app, and Identipop, a creative and product development agency.
Yes. So every week we do a segment on what's brewing. We talk about what we're drinking, what happened that's fun last week, what's coming up for this week, and then also what we're reading. So this week I am drinking some cold pressed juice. I like to get my energy from sources other than caffeine, and cold pressed juice is a really healthy, great way to do that. And then last week we had an amazing week with Dean Street Law and Flourish. Everything has been booming. We're working on our hiring. We'll talk more about that later. And this week we are doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, starting the design process, working on the design process some more, putting out all of our hiring information, going through the interview process, and starting to plan for our launch sequences. So what about reading Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod? And I'm so excited to get into all the tips. It had amazing, amazing information on how we have energy and a finite amount of energy and how to best use your time and energy to get what you want done in your life. It was fantastic. Highly recommend to everyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. I also just saw the comment, I wish I had $1 for every time someone invented a new drink.
So true.
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone would, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually am not drinking coffee today for once, which is surprising for me. I'm actually drinking green juice. It's from Creation in LA. It's actually a blend of green juice and one that has turmeric in it as well and ginger. Mm-hmm. So it's really good. And I got these glasses. Look how cool these are. These are like
so cute. Are those the ones from Anthro?
Yeah, and they were on sale. So if you are looking at Anthropologie home stuff, it's like 30% off, I think, right now. But I got like 4 of them for less than $30.
That's amazing.
I mean, whew. So this past week, I actually really had a lot of fun last weekend. We went to Exotics Racing LA, and it was actually a birthday gift. He didn't redeem it for a little while, but for my future brother-in-law, Sean. And he went, and he's actually really good at like go-kart racing, and he's done a little bit of racing in cars before. But we took him to go drive a Ferrari around the track that's here, and they actually had like instructors that would walk you through everything and like how to maximize your speed and how you're going into the turns. I didn't realize, I knew that there was definitely something I wasn't understanding, but it was like amazing how detailed they got with like where you should be entering a turn versus leaving it, and where the wheels should be, and like what you should be doing in every single, I guess, moment.
Very technical.
Yeah, it's very, very technical. So also, the other thing that we did that weekend was we did the drifting car. So when you hop in, you can actually do like the drifting throughout the entire track, which was really cool. And that guy was incredibly talented. So, and then we're still focused.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. On the Macro Kitchen Challenge. So there's 2 more days left to do that. I'm actually doing mine tonight. I'm doing sriracha salmon packets that you can bake. And basically what you can do is you can go to Macro Kitchen and register for Macro Kitchen, and you can find a recipe, make it, take a photo or video, then tag us, and you're able to have a full year of free access. You're able to win that. So that's what's going on this week. And as far as reading goes, I actually am still trying to finish up Pitch Perfect. I'm actually almost done with it. But I also am rereading The Artist's Way. I read it before. It's part of still my daily routine, and we'll get into some of like the morning things in a minute. But I do morning pages, and that's something that I got from The Artist's Way, and I know a lot of people have gotten it from there too. And it really kind of encourages your inner creative. And there's other exercises in there that you can do, including artist states, where you go to like museums, other things that kind of spark your creativity. And you need to go like, it basically, you can like, you need to go on these things alone, just because you're able to kind of spend some time with yourself and work on those creative thoughts, instead of, even though like conversations can make you creative too, some of those spaces can bring up a lot that's great for work or just great for life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. I think it's so important to have those. Our first question for today is, how do you schedule your time to get the most out of your day in all respects? So first of all, I think that your day and productivity starts with your evening before and how much sleep that you get. I think it is super, super important. There are so many amazing books by Arianna Huffington and another book called Why We Sleep, about how important sleep is and all of our bodily functions that happen during sleep. But all of that prepares you to have an amazing day, and your amount of sleep directly equates to your readiness for the day to have a productive day. And then, so I like to go to bed 9 hours before I'm going to wake up, and a critical change in my life has been to wake up without an alarm, wake up when my body is ready. This morning I was a little bit behind the 8 ball because I went to sleep later last night, but it's really important for our bodies to get the sleep we need to be ready to handle the day and handle our life. And then in the morning, I highly, highly recommend that you check out The Miracle Morning, because the book was so incredible on creating an amazing morning routine so that it's a space of your day that energizes you and creates a flow of energy that goes into your other areas of life. As I said, the most important things that I think it said was, we have a finite amount of willpower and a finite amount of time and energy. And if you think of it as a glass, how you spend that energy on each little task. One of the biggest tips that I liked was Savers, the morning routine, which is silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. I really like reading the Daily Stoic in the morning. You turn it to the day that it is, and it's just a page that you can read and write in. And those have really helped me create an energizing morning routine. My green smoothie is huge for me to give me energy that lasts throughout the day. And then writing down every single task that I do that I could delegate, we're going to talk about this more, delegate to somebody else so that I have energy, decision-making power for my highest and best use, which for me is my businesses. So I try to delegate and hire for as much as I can, which we'll get into later. And then Jordan taught me about an amazing technique that she'll get into called the Pomodoro method, which is also discussed in The Miracle Morning.
Nice. Yeah, well, the Pomodoro method, we'll get into that, but that is like one of my favorite tools. It's been honestly life-changing for me, because it really just kind of reframed how I work in general. But speaking of morning, since you talked about it before, I do have some of my things on a previous post of mine if you want to check out on my profile. I even have some of Laura's. This is from a couple times ago where we're talking about kind of daily staples throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So I talked a little bit more about some of those things, but I don't know if I mentioned a couple of them, but I do agree with the sleep aspect. I think it was a struggle for me for a while, just because I tend to get very creative at night. I don't know if anyone else is a night owl out there, but it can be, yeah. So basically it was kind of this realization that I needed to work more on, just making sure that I'm getting enough sleep, and I can still harness some of that energy just the way that I schedule my day, but then making sure that I have plenty of time before I go to sleep to be able to fall asleep, and then the next day not feel horrible, and then I'm forced to work at night because that's when I'm starting to, of course, get energized, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, some of the other things that I'll do in the morning would be, you know, hydrating, vitamins, getting sunlight is a major thing. If you go outside, it is proven to help with your vitamin D and also to just help your circadian rhythms wake up. So just trying to get some sunlight, even if you're sitting outside, reading for a couple minutes, having your morning coffee, whatever you're doing, try to get outside for just a couple of minutes at least. If 10 would be awesome. They say around 20 is good, but I know it can get really hot. So you might not want to be just like baking in the sun in the morning, but
yeah, morning walks with Bear are so good for me. I think it's important to get that blood flowing.
yeah, that's true too. And I love working out in the mornings. I've tried both. I don't mind doing either, but I prefer the mornings just for myself because I can, and there's less room for me to make excuses if things kind of go crazy during the day. So I just try to get it out of the way if I can. But the other thing is in the morning, I like to use meditation apps. So I really like Headspace. And I also use the Shine app, which is very similar to like the Daily Stoic, other things where you are kind of getting a devotional in a sense, where every day you're getting something that you can focus on. And I appreciate that. And Shine's very easy. It almost reacts like a chat, or you can listen to, they have little Shine talks, which are kind of a hybrid of a meditation and also affirmation type thing, or even just some advice too. So I really enjoy the Shine app because I think it's a positive way to get started. And for people who maybe are new to meditation, it might be an easier thing to kind of center into because there's a little bit more talking just around things that maybe you're interested in, as opposed to, oh, focus on your breath, focus on your body. So it's a good way to ease into it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and usually, so at the beginning of the week or a couple times a week, I will pull from things that I'm working on for the month or for the week itself. And what I'll do is what I used to do was I would block specific periods of time for things. So, you know, finish landing page on X, which I still do near deadlines, but I started to get away from some of that because I was noticing that something would pull me in another direction. Just like not getting my stuff done in time. I felt like I was always falling behind. So what I'm doing now is scheduling blocks of time. So I will schedule, there's a few different ways I'll do it, but I can do a project time. So on this website project for the next few hours, I'm going to knock out as many of these tasks as I can. And if, you know, I'm just going to work on this project, and that's going to be a block time for a specific either type of thinking or type of work. So batching content is a great time to pull those kind of tasks together. So if you're either making content, scheduling content across different projects, I tend to do that all at one time, just because, and I'll talk about a program I use a little bit later in the program. But I will do all of that at one time just because I'm in that mindset already. Or I'll, you know, for example, I'm doing a couple of style guides for the brands that I'm working on. So by doing those style guides at the same time, I'm usually in the same program. I'm pulling color palettes, so I can just do it at the same time. It's more efficient for me. So,
batching is so important to get more done.
Oh, and it's also task switching for your brain. Mm-hmm. Your brain, it's very hard for it to switch between, okay, now I'm writing something. Okay, now I'm coding. Okay, now I'm, you know, blogging about something. Okay, now I'm on live. You know, it's, you have to kind of go with the way your brain is flowing. And by blocking those off, I think for me, it's allowing me to still get a lot of those tasks done that I need to do, but kind of giving me a little bit more flexibility. So I'm having the accountability, and then also just in general, I'm able to get what I need to done in flow. So that's pretty much it on mine. Again, you can check out some of mine elsewhere, but I also suggest scheduling in a lot of self-care activities too, and making sure that if you have anything recurring, to continue to put those in as you go along.
Yeah,
so
I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Self-care is incredible. And so like you were saying, like scheduling is something that you need to work at every day. So a couple of the practices and tools that I have are thinking of my calendar as my energy source in terms of my energy sources, and making sure that I'm not depleting those in certain activities too much. Thinking of activities that deplete my energy more. And so I try to rope off a few hours each morning. So I schedule and I work backwards from my time I want to wake up, going to bed 9 hours before that, and then having my morning hour to myself to get myself energized and prepared in a smooth way so that it lifts up my energy rather than stresses me out. And then my first couple hours are my do not disturb hours. I wrote those off for items that I can't be talking to clients or employees about. I need to get focused and get my work done, because if I don't get my deep work done early on, it's so hard to rein everything in and focus really well for the rest of the day. So then after noon or 1 p.m., I make myself available to clients, employees, for meetings, scheduling meetings and everything like that. And I really love the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. I think it's really important. We're in a knowledge economy now where deep work creates so much more value than surface level work, which is what most people are doing when they're distracted or jumping from task to task. The deep work is that really, really valuable level of flow that you get into sometimes. So we're trying to create as much deep work level of flow in our lives as we can to be able to achieve that. And
I love that.
I know that you just introduced me to Pomodoros, which have been life-changing. It has made it so much easier for me to get done the tasks that I really avoid and procrastinate with, because they're challenging, they're long. I know they're going to take 5 hours. So tell everybody about the tips and the apps that you gave me for Pomodoros, because I've been using them for the last week and I've gotten so much done. It's incredible.
So I started using them about 5 years ago. I discovered I just love going through apps all the time. So I found it was actually at the time a different app. I don't even remember the name of it. I don't know if it was just Pomodoro or Pomodoros, but it's based on a technique of working 20 to 25 minutes, then taking a 5-minute break. And then after every 4 of that cycle, so that would be the work cycle of 20 to 25 minutes, a 5-minute break, you do that 4 times and you take a longer break. So that would be, I think, about 20 to 25 minutes. I don't even remember anymore because you can do custom settings in a lot of these apps. But what it does is it lets you get in on that deep work that you were just talking about. You can focus during that time. You kind of get that dopamine hit of just kind of trying to finish something by the time you have one of those little breaks. And then especially if you're doing the 4 cycles, by that long break, you might actually finish quite a bit if you're working on the same tasks. But I do enjoy it. Be Focused Pro is a great app for using that. It's cross-platform. I even have it on my watch, so you can, see it at any time without having to deal with your phone if you want to put it away. I also love Forest. That is one where you can join other people who are doing it as well, and it actually grows a little tree if you are spending time in the app and focusing. And then what happens is they actually plant real trees from that as well. So you kind of feel like you're giving back for working, which is nice. And then a couple of other things, I'm not even going to get into these in detail just because of time, but basically there's certain practices that I do, which are, I will light certain candles, or I'll use aromatherapy or awesome playlists. I have a coding playlist. I have a design one. I have ones for kind of like pumping me up. So
get you in the mood.
Yeah, it's just the associations that your brain makes if you kind of do the same thing around your work and you try to do it around that time. Just like you would listen to certain playlists when you're going to the gym, you're going to associate kind of a feeling with that. So I tend to do that a lot to kind of get myself in that kind of mode. And then I use my apps a lot, and I'll get more into this when we talk about automation, because you're going to talk about more about hiring, I'm going to be
Yes.
probably talking a little bit more about automation. But just use, I love the email client Spark, because you can delegate, like not delegate, but you can delay sending emails. So that's kind of cool if you're up late like me and writing an email and you don't look crazy by sending it at 1 a.m. You can schedule it for the next morning if you'd like, but maybe that's the time you're getting it done. You can also snooze things. So if something comes in and you want it to come back into your inbox a little later, you can do that as well. Hooks up with a lot of apps. So using things like that, or Fantastical is a great calendar. You're able to type in very easily 12 p.m. Meeting with John at Palm Coffee Shop. You can just type that in and it will put it into your calendar as is. So you don't have to just tap somewhere and write it in.
Are you serious? I feel like I don't have anything to write this down with, and I need to write this down right now.
I'll send it to you. I love Fantastical. It's so easy, and you can use it with, I think, Train Siri too. Do that even with, I just love typing it in on Fantastical, and it shows your to-dos on there too if you use reminders. So I think that's another great one. That's just like a staple in what I'm doing. And I love the apps that remind you to drink water even, and Streaks is a really great one if you're learning new habits. I sent it to my mom, and one day she was so frustrated because she forgot to like track something for a couple of days, and she's like, no, I don't have my Streaks still going. But you can do it for things like, let's say you're starting some new habit. You can do it something that's weekly. You can do something that happens multiple times a day. It can be something timed, like organize your desk for 10 minutes. If you want to do that every single day or twice a week, you can schedule it based on time. So you just kind of start a little timer. You can hook it up to your health app. So if you're doing steps, if you're doing, I guess, completing your rings, I guess, on like the watch, for example, there's so many options, and you can customize it completely. Or you can do 15 minutes of reading a day, whatever you'd like, but then you can keep track of it on your Streaks. So I suggest that for anyone who's trying to start a new habit. It usually takes about, they say like 21 days, whatever. I mean, probably like a month of consistent, or even just a couple weeks is enough, depending on what it is. But that kind of helps because it'll remind you, and you can also track it there, and it just feels good to see that you're, completing these things over a period of time. But
I think that's so cool.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually get into this. This is something I wanted to ask you about for a while, because a lot of these things I do automate, but there's nothing like having another person to also help you out too. And you make really great use of, either contracting or using interns, or just working with your employees and hiring. And I wanted to hear more about that, or if there's any automations that you use too.
Yeah, I think it is so important as an entrepreneur to hire early and hire slow. So I like to bring on members of our team that are filling roles that I need to get done, but it's not my highest and best use of my time. And I think a really great way to do that is hiring someone part-time, or have a contractor who is a freelancer be able to do some of that work for you, so that you can use your time on tasks that only you can do. And Miracle Morning gets into that a little bit more, which is interesting because they phrased it in a way that I haven't really thought about. But what I do frequently is I write down pages and pages of my to-do list for my business and my personal, and then I sort of label and tag every part of the to-do list, star items that only I can do, only I have the talent or the thought process or the strategic mind for. And then anything else that somebody else can do, I tag it as something that we could hire out, or something that my personal assistant can do, or something that our COO can overview so that it gets done. You can start small. It can be as little as hiring somebody to do your household cleaning, which I think is one of the best investments that you could make. I personally don't have TV, and So for a little bit more than the cost of having TV every month, I have somebody come in for a couple hours each week to clean the house, so that that's something off of my to-do list. Even if you're not an entrepreneur, even if you're in your career, write down every single task on your to-do list, personal and business, and then write down every single task that you do without even adding to your to-do list, because it's just part of your energy that you're using and your decision-making power. And add that all to a list and start thinking of what are more efficient ways to do this. For me, the first hire was someone for cleaning. The second hire was someone for my lawn, because those are areas that I want done and I don't want to have to spend time on it. I'm essentially investing to buy my own time, which is something that is so important that not enough people do, even if you're in your career. Think of how much you're getting paid per hour or so, and then if you're able to delegate to somebody that they you and it's great. Those are the key things that I think about. Are there any other questions that you had, Jordan, in our hiring processes and practices?
So where is your favorite source, let's say, for, because I was thinking about paid interns. I just wanted to know, like, where do you typically find? Do you get it through referral? Do you look in particular schools? Do you list online? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it's so important to post on social media, because most items that we do nowadays don't have to be in person. Sometimes they do, but posting on social media, we already have 20 plus people who are interested in our community manager, assistant community manager, PR and marketing intern, and our content creator positions. So 20 plus applicants just from having posted a single story about it. So once I posted on Instagram, I posted on Facebook. You can actually make job postings on Facebook, and then groups that I'm active in on Facebook, I also post in. So like the Gold Digger podcast group, the Skinny Confidential group, and then I also post it with local schools as well for interns.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's something that I really, even just starting at those personal life too. I hired somebody that was my hire was for house cleaning, and I have it. She helps with other things as well, so it's nice. So now I have her weekly, and it's really helps so much, helping with my time, and she's able to buy back, like you said, some of the time that I lose when I'm trying to clean and I distracted person ever, especially when I'm cleaning. So she's actually being paid to do something that I would never be able to do at the same quality. So I would prefer to work with her and support her in a way too, because I pay her well and I tip her. So as she gets, a job out of that, and I get my time back. And I think that's so important. And I agree with you. I think even just using services like Instacart or Uber, you're helping other people in their businesses, but you're also buying back your time. I've even taken Ubers before, not too often because they can be a little expensive when you can drive, but sometimes you can sit and work on something on the way to somewhere. And that has given me some time back. If I'm sitting in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, I can center myself, look through some things, especially if I'm going to, a meeting or something where the parking could be difficult. I just take that stress out, let someone drive me, and I can kind of review my notes and get prepared mentally.
I love
that. So,
and care.com, care.com is also really, really good for hiring as well. I so love it. Gabriella is my personal assistant, and I'm ecstatic because it's going to take care of a lot of areas of my life personally, getting that done, and we hired her through care.com.
Nice. I always think of care.com mainly for childcare and for some of those services and sometimes cleaning. I didn't even know you could do a lot of the personal assistant things on there. That's actually really good to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you're a queen of automation. So I want to hear
Well,
your automation tips.
Since I haven't really been hiring, I've been trying to use either an extension of something I'm already doing and programming it into something so that it can be repeatable and I don't have to keep kind of reinventing the wheel, or I use programs that kind of either schedule or mimic certain things so that I can save some time there. And I think that's a really easy way for people, even if you don't have your own business, you can use a lot of these services anyway. I'll mention a few of them just so that, you guys can look into them further. But one, let me see, it went a little crazy there. There are apps where you can, this is from more the personal side, there are apps that can kind of read into your emails a little bit. If you don't have super sensitive things in there, like let's say you would maybe keep a lot of your legal things separate, but like a lot of your personal emails, you might allow them to read into, and those are the ones that help with like scheduling. They're ones that are great for just picking up new leads too. So let's say you do put in your business one, but you don't have a lot of sensitive information in there. Cause I always, if things are kind of looking into your email, you just want to make sure just in case they have a breach that you don't have.
True.
Yeah. Super
sensitive. I personally can't use anything like that because all of ours is confidential information, but absolutely for personal, for sure.
Absolutely for personal. And then if you do have, let's say maybe there's kind of a medium sort of, or you have one of those emails that kind of is like, you'll maybe do, you'll get some leads from it, outside, or it's a side hustle type thing. You can use it there. And those are great for looking through and picking out things, for your schedule. They have other things too, like even Unroll Me is great if you are subscribing to a lot of stuff, want to unsubscribe. That's really helpful. And there's called CRMs, and this is for business or for yourself. There are personal ones. There's one that you can use for either called Copper that integrates with Gmail. And that's super easy because they create little contact cards from your basically people who are emailing you. So especially if you're a freelancer, it's a great tool to use because you can kind of qualify your leads that are coming in or assign them to a project and you feel much more organized. Or if you're job hunting, it's really great too because you can organize your communications with potential employers as well. So I highly recommend using something like that. And in a lot of those CRMs, you can automate. So let's say automatically if someone, sends you an email regarding something, you can, I wouldn't say do a canned response, but there could be things like there's ones that can automatically say thank you if someone sends you something with an attachment, which you could do essentially if you wanted, or a certain type of lead, maybe it'll send you a reminder on Slack or it will notify you in other ways so that you're aware of it as fast as possible. So there's endless options with that. More getting into business, I spoke earlier about Later, which is an app for scheduling content. And it's one of my favorite services in the entire world. It's completely changed my business. I schedule all of my posts for Macro Kitchen at the beginning of the week. You can schedule stories too. I do it cross-platform. And they also have a partnership with Link in Bio. So what that does is we have the link in bio there so that it automatically, and this schedules it too, it'll have the photos and the links so people can go on and click on it to go to a recipe or a blog post. So I love Later, and they have absolutely fantastic content in general on social media trends. So they're also a resource for me as well. So I enjoy, and plus their Instagram is fantastic too. Just their whole branding is on point. But that is my favorite tool as far as content scheduling. And you can even preview how things are going to look on Instagram too, if you'd like. But that's a great service that saves me a lot of time and helps with my batching. And having services, like I said, the CRMs, and then also something like MailChimp. If you're doing any sort of newsletters, those are great for managing kind of your communications with people. And also you can do automations there too. So let's say you have even just a basic blog, having a great newsletter is something that's really valuable. But even if you're not sending out that much, but you just want to notify people of a new blog post, or monthly, just do kind of a recap of things, that's a way to kind of keep in touch with everyone. And you're not going to feel like you're being annoying because MailChimp has really great structure in there that they'll make sure that you know kind of where those limits are, and you'll make sure that everything looks really beautiful too. And so that's great. Or if like you have a business and someone signs up, you can automate all of that as well. So it can follow up at a certain time, or you can schedule out emails to tell them about new features, but not have to send it out yourself. You can just kind of time it, you know, over a week after they join. There's so many options there. So that saves a lot of time instead of someone having to do that for you or you having to do it. It's a great thing to automate. And then my favorite automation tool ever is Zapier, or I used to call it Zapier, but I think it's Zapier.
Never heard of it. What's that?
Oh, it is like, it's my coworker basically. You can automate pretty much anything. So there's tons of apps on there. You can add a track to a Spotify playlist if someone sends you a certain thing. Wow. If you, let's say someone likes your, I guess you can comment on your Instagram, you can pull it and send it to your Slack. You can, I do a lot of high level stuff with our database, like kind of maintenance on it through Zapier, or Zapier. I don't even know what it's called. I'm going to say Zapier because I think it's, they say they're called Zaps, so I'm going to assume it's Zapier, but it still feels weird to me. I feel like there should be two P's. It's actually Zapier.
Yeah.
So I don't think, right? Okay.
Two P's. So should be two.
Anyway, my favorite program is Zapier. You can really on it. You can do personal things. You can, let's say for example, someone is asking a new question. You know, for our we're collecting questions. So let's say when you write in our little Google Sheet there, the Google Sheet will also send something to my Asana. So it'll make these little cards for me so that I can see them. That could be an example. Or if someone sends an email to a specific account, it can send it to a channel in Slack so that you can see it. There's, I mean, it's endless. There's so many things. I can't even get into it, but basically it saves me so much time personally and professionally because I can set up a whole chain of things. You can do it by certain filters or certain conditions. If someone does this at this time, I mean, literally whatever you want, it can handle it. So
cool.
I think it's so cool. And if you guys have any questions, like in general, you can always send me a DM because there's so many things, it's hard to get into all of them. There's so many applications, but if you do, if you're thinking of something, you want to save articles from certain feeds, whatever, and have it emailed to you, you can do that too. But that's something I absolutely love.
And for everyone who doesn't know, Asana is for to-do list, and then Slack is, Asana is an app for to-do lists, and then Slack is an app for messaging and communication for organizations or groups or whatever you'd like to use it for.
Yeah, and I've used several project management services. So if you ever have any questions about that, I've used pretty much all of them when I've switched between them before. I use Asana at the moment just because I like the flexibility of how they'll structure a project. So you can have the kind of the Kanban board style, which is like Trello, where you have cards under categories that you can kind of drag around, whether they're done or they're in process or they're by a category. I have several templates that I use for different things. And it also just has a normal list, or kind of, I sometimes use it as a calendar type, like for my wedding, like things I need to get done this month versus next month. But then my vendors, I might have in that Kanban board style where it says florists, and then it's like, oh, this one, here's their contact information. And then as I choose through, I finally, you know, have my list of people. So it ends up being more of a contact list too. So I love it. And I use it for, my businesses and my personal, but there are so many great apps out there. You really just need to find what works for you and what works well with you and your process. So for some people that might be one thing, for some people that might be another. For other people like me, sometimes I need things on paper, and then I also need it in there. And having that Zapier program, not so much with the paper, but you can, if you're using multiple programs, you can tie those in together. So let's say one of your clients really loves using something, you like using something else, easy. You can go on Zapier and it'll sync your stuff. So
that's really cool.
It's easy, and really great with Google Docs too. So anything you're doing in Google Drive, Google Docs, any sort of storage, absolutely fantastic for that as well.
That's awesome.
But just But my only thing is just use the services and use other people, like utilize other people, because especially with others, I think they bring so much more to the table as far as the innovation aspect. But definitely at least save your time, whether it's through the automations or through hiring, because I totally agree with you. You want to be working in your unique space and in your unique talents. And I know I've made the mistake in the past of just trying to hustle, do everything myself, be lean, and we'll talk about this on the next on the next live about being lean in your business. And sometimes, you know, being smart about your hiring can actually make it better than just trying to do everything yourself. So I think that it's so important to be aware of those, and then just also be self-aware about what you really love to do and what energizes you too.
I love that. I think it's so important to see everything that you're doing and create systems and efficiencies to make you be able to do more in your most efficient and best use way. And that makes you happy. That's really, really important part of it. But thank you everyone for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Productivity tips have been really helpful. You can find me at Live Lovely, at Live, LVLY, at Dean Street Law, or at Flourish Westchester.
And you can find me at Jordan Chadsey. Feel free to ask any questions about automation in that. If you need any tips, or you want something that you're trying, or there's maybe a task that you hate right now and maybe I can help you automate it. You can also follow me at Macro Kitchen. We're running our challenge still until tomorrow, so you can check out more about that on Macro Kitchen, and at Identipop.
Awesome. Well, drop a coffee in our latest post if you've joined us today, and if you're part of the Coffee Break crew. Cheers, everybody. I hope that you have an amazing day.
And you can find us next week, Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern.
We'll see
Thanks,
you there.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.